on the other side of the fence, many of the so-called political power brokers are reluctant to take a risk with a younger candidate like yourself who they think is untested. I mean, in the cold light of day, some people would see that as the bottom line, wouldn't they?
Well, what is tested?
Well, you've never been in elected office.
No, I've never been in elected office, but I've been tested to be able to bring a process that elects people, democracy. You know, when we first met, you said, I met you so many years ago.
Yes, I remember that.
I was in my 20s when I was fighting for democracy. If we didn't have democracy, we would not be having elections now.
True.
You understand? So how do you need to be tested? It's character, it's competence, it's capacity, you know, it's alertness. Part of it is also mental fitness, because you can be 51 and not be mentally and physically fit.
That is true.
You know, you can be very young and useless. That's the truth. So to have been a governor is not a reason to elect somebody, especially when you've been governor and you governed terribly. You don't have anything to show for 8 years of being in office, no schools, no roads, no hospitals. So their kind of experience is not the experience we need.
But
so, and no country should vote for somebody on the basis of failed experiments and experience. If people have claimed that they have experience, they have nothing to show for it, no records. Why do we keep looking for those? Where did the experience of these governors put you? Nowhere. None. There's no one of them that can show a school to you that they can send their children to. There's no one of the governors who are running now who can show a hospital in which they can treat themselves for headache anywhere in the country.
Right. So if
there's
you
no
were
one that can drive on our road without huge security and convoy and feel safe.
Yeah.
So why are we using the experience to judge where we should head next?
What would be top of your in tray, and within what time frame would you hope to do that?
So first is to arrest the security conundrum in the country. Second is to start working on electricity, you know, to build our electricity capacity, energy capacity as a whole spectrum to a reasonable level within 2 years. Reasonable level meaning that you'll be able to have 24 hours electricity supplied to nothing less than 2.
Yeah, but how would you do that?
Yes, energy mixes, you know, in whichever part of the country. First, I will junk the national grid. Yes, that's a massive, you know, plug to development of electrical
well,
power.
presumably you'd leave it on whilst you're installing.
Yes, so you have regional electricity, you have solar, you have tidal waves, controlled electricity, you use biogas, waste. All of these opportunities are virgin now.
And how are you going to fund those things?
Well, there is a lot of people who are even willing to fund some of them for free, because there's a climate change fund out there that will fund energy transition for you. But our leaders here, who we are dealing with, the so-called experienced ones, don't even know the meaning of climate change.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the report on Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who's a presidential candidate of the ruling APC party, saying that fuel scarcity and Naira redesign are plans to sabotage the elections. He was speaking, I think, in Ogun State, Abeokuta, and he was basically saying, he was urging people to ignore, you know, fuel if they have to trek, that there's some kind of revolution going on. I mean, some have suggested that that's a bit perverse coming from the presidential candidate of the ruling party.
That's what I'm going to say, is that he has sent a huge message, a very powerful message to the Nigerian people not to vote for him and his party. He's from the APC. They are the cause of fuel scarcity. He's just begging Nigerians not to vote for them, not to vote for him. But people don't listen to, you know, he speaks in tongues sometimes, and this is what he's done again. The second aspect of it is revealing the fractures, you know, or the fractious relationship within the top hierarchy of the ruling party. The word on the street is that Buhari is just pretending to support him for the presidency, that he's actually working for another candidate.
Well, obviously, we don't have any evidence to support that.
I
certainly don't.
Yes,
so I need to make that clear.
Yes, so that's the word on the street. You know, we are the ones on the street because we're running, you know, side by side against them. So, but the biggest message from me is, hey, this guy is begging not to be voted into office, and I hope Nigerians understand the nuances and, you know, the power of that message. That look, we brought you this misery, and if you want to continue the misery, vote for us.
Well, beyond the issue of fuel scarcity and the fact that he's talking about Naira redesign and all the rest of it, what are the other issues that concern you about this election? Because at that peace committee meeting recently, you raised some very important questions about peace and propriety in the 2023 election. What is your sense of the security of this election with just weeks to go?
So we have to be clear that Nigeria has lost territory in every region to non-state actors. And that's a major concern. You go to the northeast, there's a whole lot of territory or inaccessible areas that have not been cleared of mines. When I say mines, political mines and other kinds of mines that you cannot approach. You go to the northwest, banditry has made us lose territory. You go to the southeast, you can't even sing the Nigerian national anthem. But you don't want to solve the problem because Nigeria brought itself to the southeastern conundrum by keeping Nnamdi Kanu as a political prisoner, thinking that would help quell the agitation for nationhood there. Now you've realized that you've made a huge mistake and you are disobeying your court orders that says you let him go. And you are at the same time complaining that people there are not willing to vote. You go to the south, there's massive issue of oil theft. And that is not only bleeding the economy of the country, but it shows that there is no control over our security in the south. In fact, as at this point, Nigeria has ceded its waterways to a private contractor. It's not that you take a ballot box to people to vote alone that's a say, but who is going to vote if they are not sure that they can vote and get back home safe?
So is it
so
your
it's also a function of perception.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, but I think that the Nigerian ruling elite loves it when there is little territory to govern, because then they are not accountable to anybody and they don't have to be responsible for governing large swaths of area, because that's demanding. It tasks their mental capacity to do anything, and they don't have a lot of that.
Are you satisfied that this peace meeting and the negotiations will stay the hands of those who may have been considering disrupting the peace, or is it likely not to make any difference?
It's a very symbolic thing. It doesn't have any force of control over them. The first peace accord we signed, the major candidates, one of them didn't show up. When this second one that we signed, it was here, one of the major candidates fell asleep throughout the peace meeting. And I had to challenge even the organizers of the peace accord.
Yes, I saw that clip.
Yes, they're saying, look, you can't be lying to us all the time. We had an election in 1993. It was peaceful, it was credible, transparent, fair. Everybody attested to that. You annulled it. And some 30 years later, you are drawing up a peace accord. You are yourself complicit in bringing the country to the condition it is. Some people also have no credibility to talk about peace in a country where they have violated the people when they were peaceful. The reason why people no longer trust elections is that when they did peaceful elections, you never allowed the results.
Well, you turned up at that peace committee.
I turned up so that I could tell them the truth.
Right.
And that's what I always do.